Gems of Divine Mysteries, Bahá'u'lláh. The essence of the divine mysteries and the journeys of ascent set forth for those who long to draw nigh unto God, the Almighty, the ever-forgiving. Blessed be the righteous that quaff from these crystal streams. He is the exalted, the Most High. O thou who treadest the path of justice and beholdest the countenance of mercy, thine epistle was received, thy question was noted, and the sweet accents of thy soul were heard from the inmost chambers of thy heart, whereupon the clouds of the divine will were raised to rain upon thee the outpourings of heavenly wisdom, to divest thee of all that thou hast acquired aforetime, to draw thee from the realms of contradiction unto the realms of oneness, and to lead thee to the sacred streams of his law. Perchance thou mayest quaff therefrom, repose therein, quench thy thirst, refresh thy soul, and be numbered with those whom the light of God hath guided aright in this day. Encompassed as I am at this time by the dogs of the earth and the beasts of every land, concealed as I remain in the hidden habitation of mine inner being, forbidden as I may be from divulging that which God hath bestowed upon me of the wonders of his knowledge, the gems of his wisdom, and the tokens of his power, yet I am loath to frustrate the hopes of one who hath approached the sanctuary of grandeur, sought to enter within the precincts of eternity, and aspired to soar in the immensity of this creation, the dawning of the divine decree. I shall therefore relate unto thee certain truths from among those which God hath vouchsafed unto me, this only to the extent that souls can bear and minds can endure, lest the malicious raise a clamor, or the dissemblers hoist their banners. I implore God to graciously aid me in this, for unto such as beseech him, he is the all-bounteous, and of those who show mercy, he is the most merciful. Know then that it behoveth thine eminence to ponder from the outset these questions in thy heart. What hath prompted the diverse peoples and kindreds of the earth to reject the apostles whom God has sent unto them in his might and power, whom he raised up to exalt his cause and ordained to be the lamps of eternity within the niche of his oneness? For what reason have the people turned aside from them, disputed them, risen against them, and contended with them? On what grounds have they refused to acknowledge their apostleship and authority, nay, denied their truth and reviled their persons, even slaying or banishing them? O thou who hast set foot in the wilderness of knowledge and taken abode within the ark of wisdom, not until thou hast grasped the mysteries concealed in that which we shall relate unto thee, canst thou hope to attain to the stations of faith and certitude in the cause of God, and in those who are the manifestations of his cause, the daysprings of his command, the treasuries of his revelation, and the repositories of his knowledge. Shouldst thou fail in this, thou wouldst be numbered with them that have not striven for the cause of God, nor inhaled the fragrance of faith from the raiment of certitude, nor scaled the heights of the divine unity, nor yet recognized the stations of divine singleness within the embodiments of praise and the essences of sanctity. Strive then, O my brother, to apprehend this matter, that the veils may be lifted from the face of thy heart, and that thou mayest be reckoned amongst them whom God hath graced with such penetrating vision as to behold the most subtle realities of his dominion, to fathom the mysteries of his kingdom, to perceive the signs of his transcendent essence in this mortal world, and to attain a station wherein one seeth no distinction amongst his creatures, and findeth no flaw in the creation of the heavens and the earth. Now that the discourse hath reached this exalted and intractable theme, and touched upon this sublime and impenetrable mystery, know that the Christian and Jewish peoples have not grasped the intent of the words of God and the promises he hath made to them in his book, and have therefore denied his cause, turned aside from his prophets, and rejected his proofs. Had they but fixed their gaze upon the testimony of God itself, had they refused to follow in the footsteps of the abject and the foolish among their leaders and divines, they would doubtless have attained to the repository of guidance in the treasury of virtue, and quaffed from the crystal waters of life eternal in the city of the All-Merciful, in the garden of the all-glorious, and within the inner reality of his paradise. But as they have refused to see with the eyes wherewith God hath endowed them, and desired things other than that which he in his mercy hath desired for them, they have strayed far from the retreats of nearness, have been deprived of the living waters of reunion and the wellspring of his grace, and have lain as dead within the shrouds of their own selves. Through the power of God and his might, I shall now relate certain passages revealed in the books of old, and mention some of the signs heralding the appearance of the manifestations of God and the sanctified persons of his chosen ones, that thou mayest recognize the dayspring of this everlasting morn, and behold this fire that blazeth in the tree, which is neither of the east nor of the west. Perchance thine eyes may be opened upon attaining the presence of thy Lord, and thy heart partake of the blessings concealed within these hidden treasuries. Render thanks then unto God, who hath singled thee out for this grace, and who hath numbered thee with them that are assured of meeting their Lord. This is the text of that which was revealed aforetime in the first gospel, according to Matthew, regarding the signs that must needs herald the advent of the one who shall come after him. He saith, And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, until the mystic dove singing in the midmost heart of eternity, and the celestial bird warbling upon the divine lote tree saith, Immediately after the oppression of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. In the second gospel, according to Mark, the dove of holiness speaketh in such terms. For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And it singeth later with the same melodies as before, without change or alteration. God verily is a witness unto the truth of my words. And in the third gospel, according to Luke, it is recorded, There shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, know that the kingdom of God hath drawn nigh. And in the fourth gospel, according to John, it is recorded, There shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, know that the kingdom of God hath drawn nigh. And in the fourth gospel, according to John, it is recorded, But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me, and ye also shall bear witness. And elsewhere he saith, But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. But now I go my way to him that sent me, and none of you asketh me, Whither goest thou? But because I have said these things unto you, and yet again, nevertheless, I tell you the truth, it is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And howbeit, when he the Spirit of truth is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. Such is the text of the verses revealed in the past, by him besides whom there is none other God. I have chosen to be brief. For were I to recount all the words that have been sent down unto the prophets of God, from the realm of his supernal glory and the kingdom of his sovereign might, All the passages and tablets of the world would not suffice to exhaust my theme. References similar to those mentioned, nay, even more sublime and exalted, have been made in all the books and scriptures of old. Should it be my wish to recount all that hath been revealed in the past, I would most certainly be able to do so by virtue of that which God hath bestowed upon me, of the wonders of his knowledge and power. I have contented myself with that which was mentioned, lest thou become wearied in thy journey, or feel inclined to turn back, or lest thou be overtaken by sadness and sorrow, and overcome with despondency, trouble, and fatigue. Be fair in thy judgment, and reflect upon these exalted utterances. Inquire then of those who lay claim to knowledge without a proof or testimony from God, and who remain heedless of these days wherein the orb of knowledge and the wisdom hath dawned above the horizon of divinity, rendering unto each his due, and assigning unto all their rank and measure, as to what they can say concerning these illusions. Verily their meaning hath bewildered the minds of men, and that which they conceal of the consummate wisdom and latent knowledge of God, even the most sanctified souls have been powerless to uncover. Should they say these words are indeed from God and have no interpretation other than their outward meaning, then what objection can they raise against the unbelievers among the people of the book? For when the latter saw the aforementioned passages in their scripture and heard the literal interpretations of their divines, they refused to recognize God in those who are the manifestations of his unity, the exponents of his singleness, and the embodiments of his sanctity, and failed to believe in them and to submit to their authority. The reason was they did not see the sun darken, or the stars of heaven fall to the ground, or the angels visibly descend upon the earth, and hence they contended with the prophets and messengers of God. Nay, inasmuch as they found them at variance with their own faith and creed, they hurled against them such accusations of imposture, folly, waywardness, and misbelief as I am ashamed to recount. Refer to the Quran that thou mayest find mention of all this, and be of them that understand its meaning. Even to this day do these people await the appearance of that which they have learned from their doctors and imbibed from their divines. Thus do we say, when shall these signs be made manifest that we may believe? But if this be the case, how could ye refute their arguments, invalidate their proofs, and challenge them concerning their faith and their understanding of their books and the sayings of their leaders? And should they reply, the books that are in the hands of this people, which they call the gospel and attribute to Jesus, the Son of Mary, have not been revealed by God, and proceed not from the manifestations of his self, then this would imply a cessation in the abounding grace of him who is the source of all grace. If so, God's testimony to his servants would have remained incomplete, and his favor proven imperfect. His mercy would not have shone resplendent, nor would his grace have overshadowed all. For if at the ascension of Jesus his book had likewise ascended unto heaven, then how could God reprove and chastise the people on the day of resurrection, as have been written by the Imams of the faith and affirmed by its illustrious divines? Ponder then in thine heart matters being such as thou dost witness, and as we also witness, where canst thou flee, and with whom shalt thou take refuge? Unto whom wilt thou turn thy gaze? In what land shalt thou dwell, and upon what seat shalt thou abide? In what path shalt thou tread, and at what hour wilt thou find repose? What shall become of thee in the end? Where shalt thou secure the cord of thy faith, and fasten the tie of thine obedience? By him who revealeth himself in his oneness, and whose own self beareth witness to his unity. Should there be ignited in thy heart the burning brand of the love of God, thou wouldst seek neither rest nor composure, neither laughter nor repose, but would hasten to scale the highest summits in the realms of divine nearness, sanctity, and beauty. Thou wouldst lament as a soul bereaved, and weep as a heart filled with longing. Nor wouldst thou repair to thy home and abode unless God would lay bare before thee his cause. O thou who hast soared to the realm of guidance and ascended to the kingdom of virtue, shouldst thou desire to apprehend these celestial illusions, to witness the mysteries of divine knowledge, and to become acquainted with his all-encompassing word, then it behooveth thine eminence to inquire into these and other questions pertaining to thine origin and ultimate goal, from those whom God hath made to be the wellspring of his knowledge, the heaven of his wisdom, and the ark of his mysteries. For were it not for those effulgent lights that shine above the horizon of his essence, the people would know not their left hand from their right. How much less could they scale the heights of the inner realities, or probe the depths of their sublimities? We beseech God, therefore, to immerse us in these surging seas, to grace us with the presence of these life-bearing breezes, and to cause us to abide in these divine and lofty precincts. Perchance we may divest ourselves of all that we have taken from each other, and strip ourselves of such borrowed garments as we have stolen from our fellow men, that he may attire us instead with his robe of mercy and the raiment of his guidance, and admit us unto this city of knowledge. Whosoever entereth this city will comprehend every science before probing into its mysteries, and will acquire from the leaves of its trees a knowledge and wisdom encompassing such mysteries of divine lordship as are enshrined within the treasuries of creation. Glorified be God, its creator and fashioner, above all that he hath brought forth and ordained therein. By God, the sovereign protector, the self-subsisting, the Almighty, were I to unveil to thine eyes the gates of this city, which have been fashioned by the right hand of might and power, thou wouldst behold that which none before thee have ever beheld, and wouldst witness that which no other soul hath ever witnessed. Thou wouldst apprehend the most obscure signs and the most abstruse allusions, and wouldst clearly behold the mysteries of the beginning and the point of the end. All matters would be made easy unto thee. Fire would be turned into light, knowledge and blessings, and thou wouldst abide in safety within the court of holiness. Bereft, however, of the essence of the mysteries of his wisdom, which we have imparted unto thee beneath the veils of these blessed and soul-stirring words, thou wouldst fail to attain unto even a sprinkling of the oceans of divine knowledge, or the crystal streams of divine power, and wouldst be recorded in the mother book through the pen of oneness and by the finger of God amongst the ignorant. Nor wouldst thou be able to grasp a single word of the book or a single utterance of the kindred of God concerning the mysteries of the beginning and the end. O thou whom we have outwardly never met, yet whom inwardly we cherish in our heart, be fair in thy judgment, and present thyself before him who seeth and knoweth thee, even if thou seest and knowest him not. Can any soul be found to elucidate these words with such convincing arguments, clear testimonies, and unmistakable allusions as to appease the heart of the seeker and relieve the soul of the listener? Nay, by the one in whose hand is my soul, unto none is given to quaff even a dewdrop thereof, unless he entereth within this city, a city whose foundations rest upon mountains of crimson-colored ruby, whose walls are hewn of the chrysolite of divine unity, whose gates are made of the diamonds of immortality, and whose earth sheddeth the fragrance of divine bounty. Having imparted unto thee beneath countless veils of concealment certain hidden mysteries, we now return to our elucidation of the books of old, that perchance thy feet may not slip, and thou mayest receive with complete certitude the portion which we shall bestow upon thee of the billowing oceans of life in the realm of the names and attributes of God. It is recorded in all the books of the gospel that he who is the Spirit, Jesus, spoke in words of pure light unto his disciples, saying, Know that heaven and earth may pass away, but my words shall never pass away. As is clear and evident to thine eminence, these words outwardly mean that the books of the gospel will remain in the hands of the people until the end of the world, that their laws shall not be abrogated, that their testimonies shall not be abolished, and that all that hath been enjoined, prescribed, or ordained therein shall endure forever. O my brother, sanctify thy heart, illumine thy soul, and sharpen thy sight, that thou mayest perceive the sweet accents of the birds of heaven and the melodies of the doves of holiness, warbling in the kingdom of eternity, and perchance apprehend the inner meaning of these utterances and their hidden mysteries. For otherwise, wert thou to interpret these words according to their outward meaning, thou couldst never prove the truth of the cause of him who came after Jesus, nor silence the opponents, nor prevail over the contending disbelievers. For the Christian divines use this verse to prove that the gospel shall never be abrogated, and that even if all the signs recorded in their books were fulfilled and the promised one appeared, he would have no recourse but to rule the people according to the ordinances of the gospel. They contend that if he were to manifest all the signs indicated in the books, but decree aught besides that which Jesus had decreed, they would neither acknowledge nor follow him. So clear and evident is this matter in their sight. Thou canst indeed hear the learned and the foolish amongst the people voice the same objections in this day, saying, the sun hath not risen from the west, nor hath the crier cried out betwixt earth and heaven. Water hath not inundated certain lands. The Dajjal, the Antichrist, hath not appeared. Sufyani hath not risen, nor the temple been witnessed in the sun. I heard with mine own ears one of their divines proclaim, shouldst all the signs come to pass, and the long-awaited Qayyim appear, and should he ordain with respect to even our secondary laws, aught beyond that which hath been revealed in the Quran, we would assuredly charge him with imposture, put him to death, and refuse to acknowledge him. And other statements such as these deniers make. And all this when the day of resurrection hath been ushered in, and the trumpet hath been sounded, and all the denizens of earth and heaven have been gathered together, and the balance hath been appointed, and the bridge hath been laid, and the verses hath been sent down, and the sun hath shone forth, and the stars have been blotted out, and the souls have been raised to life, and the breath of the Spirit hath blown, and the angels have been arrayed in ranks, and paradise hath been brought nigh, and hell made to blaze. These things have all come to pass, and yet to this day not a single one of these people hath recognized him. They all lie as dead within their own shrouds, save those who have believed and repaired unto God, who rejoice in this day in his celestial paradise, and who tread the path of his good pleasure. Veiled as they remain within their own selves, the generality of the people have failed to perceive the sweet accents of holiness, inhale the fragrance of mercy, or seek guidance as bidden by God from those who are the custodians of the Scriptures. He proclaimeth, and his words verily is the truth. Ask ye therefore of them that have the custody of the Scriptures, if ye know it not. Nay, rather they have turned aside from them and followed instead of the summary of their own idle fancies. Thus have they strayed far from the mercy of their Lord, and failed to attain unto his beauty in the day of his presence. For no sooner had he come unto them with a sign and a testimony from God, than the same people who had eagerly awaited the day of his revelation, who had called upon him in the daytime and in the night season, who had implored him to gather them together in his presence, and to grant that they may lay down their lives in his path, be led aright by his guidance, and illumined by his light, this very people condemned and reviled him, and inflicted upon him such cruelties as transcend both my capacity to tell and thine ability to hear them. My very pen crieth out at this moment, and the ink weepeth sore and groaneth. By God, wert thou to hearken with thine inner ear, thou wouldst in truth hear the lamentations of the denizens of heaven. And wert thou to remove the veil from before thine eyes, thou wouldst behold the maids of heaven overcome, and the holy souls overwhelmed, beating upon their faces and falling upon the dust. Alas, alas, for that which befell him who was the manifestation of the self of God, and for that which he and his loved ones were made to suffer. The people inflicted upon them what no soul hath ever inflicted upon another, and what no infidel hath wrought against a believer or suffered at his hand. Alas, alas, that immortal being sat upon the darksome dust. The Holy Spirit lamented in the retreats of glory. The pillars of the throne crumbled in the exalted dominion. The joy of the world was changed into sorrow in the crimson land, and the voice of the nightingale was silenced in the golden realm. Woe betide them for what their hands have wrought, and for what they have committed. Hearken then unto that which the bird of heaven uttered in the sweetest and most wondrous accents, and in the most perfect and exalted melodies, concerning them an utterance that shall fill them with remorse from now unto the day when mankind shall stand before the Lord of the worlds. Although they had prayed for victory over those who believed not, yet when there came unto them he of whom they had knowledge, they disbelieved in him. The curse of God on the infidels. Such indeed are their condition and attainments in their vain and empty life. Ere long shall they be cast into the fire of affliction, and find no one to help or succor them. Be not veiled by aught that hath been revealed in the Quran, or by what thou hast learned from the works of those sons of immaculacy and moons of majesty, regarding the perversion of the text by the fanatical, or their alteration by their corrupters. By these statements, only certain specific and clearly indicated passages are intended. In spite of my weakness and poverty, I would assuredly be able, should I so desire, to expound these passages unto thine eminence. But this would divert us from our purpose and lead us astray from the outstretched path. It would immerse us in limited illusions and distract us from that which is beloved in the court of the all-praised. O thou who art mentioned in this outspread roll, and who, amidst the gloomy darkness that now prevaileth, has been illumined by the splendors of the sacred mount and the Sinai of divine revelation, cleanse thy heart from every blasphemous whispering and evil illusion thou hast heard in the past, that thou mayest inhale the sweet savors of eternity and the Joseph of faithfulness, gain admittance into the celestial Egypt, and perceive the fragrances of enlightenment from this resplendent and luminous tablet, a tablet wherein the pen hath inscribed the ancient mysteries of the names of his Lord, the exalted, the Most High. Perchance thou mayest be recorded in the holy tablets among them that are well assured. O thou who art standing before my throne, and yet remainest unaware thereof, know thou that whoso seeketh to scale the summits of the divine mysteries must needs strive to the utmost of his power and capacity for his faith, that the pathway of guidance may be made clear unto him. And shouldst he encounter one who layeth claim to a cause from God, and who holdeth from his Lord a testimony beyond the power of men to produce, he must needs follow him in all that he pleaseth to proclaim, command, and ordain, even were he to decree the sea to be land, or to pronounce the earth to be heaven, or that the former lieth above the latter or below it, or to ordain any change or transformation. For he verily is aware of the celestial mysteries, the unseen subtleties, and the ordinances of God. Were the peoples of every nation to observe that which hath been mentioned, the matter would be made simple unto them, and such words and allusions should not withhold them from the ocean of the names and attributes of God. And had the people known this truth, they would not have denied God's favors, nor would they have arisen against, contended with, and rejected his prophets. Similar passages are also found in the Quran, should the matter be carefully examined. Know thou, moreover, that it is through such words that God proveth his servants and sifteth them, separating the believer from the infidel, the detached from the worldly, the pious from the profligate, the doer of good from the worker of iniquity, and so forth. Thus hath the dove of holiness proclaimed, do men think when they say we believe, they shall be let alone and not be put to proof? It behooveth him who is a wayfarer in the path of God, and a wanderer in his way, to detach himself from all who are in the heavens and on the earth. He must renounce all save God, that perchance the portals of mercy may be unlocked before his face, and the breezes of providence may waft over him. And when he hath inscribed upon his soul that which we have vouchsafed unto him of of the quintessence of inner meaning and explanation, he will fathom all the secrets of these illusions, and God shall bestow upon his heart a divine tranquility, and cause him to be of them that are at peace with themselves. In like manner, wilt thou comprehend the meaning of all the ambiguous verses that have been sent down concerning the question thou didst ask of this servant who abideth upon the seat of abasement, who walketh upon the earth as an exile, with none to befriend, comfort, aid, or assist him, who hath placed his whole trust in God, and who proclaimeth at all times, Verily we are God's, and to him shall we return. Know thou that the passages that we have called ambiguous appear as such only in the eyes of them that have failed to soar above the horizon of guidance, and to reach the heights of knowledge in the retreats of grace. For otherwise, unto them that have recognized the repositories of divine revelation, and beheld through his inspiration the mysteries of divine authority, all the verses of God are perspicuous, and all his allusions are clear. Such men discern the inner mysteries that have been clothed in the garment of words, as clearly as ye perceive the heat of the sun, or the wetness of water, nay, even more distinctly. Immeasurably exalted is God above our praise of his loved ones, and beyond their praise. Now that we have reached this most excellent theme, and attained such lofty heights by virtue of that which hath flowed from this pen through the incomparable favors of God, the exalted, the Most High, it is our wish to disclose unto thee certain stations in the wayfarer's journey towards his Creator. Perchance all that thine eminence hath desired may be revealed unto thee, that the proof may be made complete and the blessing abundant. Know thou of a truth that the seeker must, at the beginning of his quest for God, enter the garden of search. In this journey it behooveth the wayfarer to detach himself from all save God, and to close his eyes to all that is in the heavens and on the earth. There must not linger in his heart either the hate or the love of any soul, to the extent that they would hinder him from attaining the habitation of the celestial beauty. He must sanctify his soul from the veils of glory, and refrain from boasting of such worldly vanities, outward knowledge, or other gifts as God may have bestowed upon him. He must search after the truth to the utmost of his ability and exertion, that God may guide him in the paths of his favor and the ways of his mercy. For he verily is the best of helpers unto his servants. He saith, and he verily speaketh the truth. Whoso maketh effort for us, in our ways shall we assuredly guide him. And furthermore, fear God, and God will give you knowledge. In this journey, the seeker becometh witness to a myriad changes and transformations, confluences, and divergences. He beholdeth the wonders of divinity and the mysteries of creation, and discovereth the paths of guidance in the ways of his Lord. Such is the station reached by them that search after God, and such are the heights attained by those who hasten unto him. When once the seeker hath ascended unto this station, he will enter the city of love and rapture, whereupon the winds of love will blow and the breezes of the Spirit will waft. In this station the seeker is so overcome by the ecstasies of yearning and the fragrances of longing that he discerneth not his left from his right, nor doth he distinguish land from sea, or desert from mountain. At every moment he burneth with the fire of longing, and is consumed by the onslaught of separation in this world. He speedeth through the Paran of love, and traverseth the Horeb of rapture. Now he laugheth, now he weepeth sore. Now he reposeth in peace, now he trembleth in fear. Nothing can alarm him, naught can thwart his purpose, and no law can restrain him. He standeth ready to observe whatsoever his Lord should please to decree, as to his beginning and his end. With every breath he layeth down his life, and offer up his soul. He bareth his breast to meet the darts of the enemy, and raiseth his head to greet the sword of destiny. Nay, rather, he kisseth the hand of his would-be murderer, and surrendereth his all. He yieldeth up his spirit, soul, and body in the path of his Lord, and yet he doeth so by the leave of his beloved, and not of his own whim and desire. Thou findest him chill in the fire and dry in the sea, abiding in every land and treading every path. Whosoever toucheth him in this state will perceive the heat of his love. He walketh the heights of detachment and traverseth the vale of renunciation. His eyes are ever expectant to witness the wonders of God's mercy and eager to behold the splendors of his beauty. Blessed indeed are they who have attained unto such a station, for this is the station of the ardent lovers and the enraptured souls. And when this stage of the journey is complete, and the wayfarer has soared beyond this lofty station, he entereth the city of divine unity, and the garden of oneness, and the court of detachment. In this plain the seeker casteth away all signs, illusions, veils, and words, and beholdeth all things with an eye illumined by the effulgent lights which God himself has shed upon him. In his journey he seeth all differences return to a single word, and all illusions culminate in a single point. Unto this beareth witness he who has sailed upon the ark of fire and followed the inmost path to the pinnacle of glory in the realm of immortality. Knowledge is of one point, which the foolish have multiplied. This is the station that hath been alluded to in the tradition, I am he, himself, and he is I, myself, except that I am, and he is that he is. In this station, were he who is the embodiment of the end to say, verily I am the point of the beginning, he would indeed be speaking the truth. And were he to say, I am other than him, this would be equally true. Likewise, were he to proclaim, verily I am the Lord of heaven and earth, or the King of kings, or the Lord of the realm above, or Muhammad, or Ali, or their descendants, or aught else, he would indeed be proclaiming the truth of God. He verily ruleth over all created things, and stand supreme over all besides him. Hast thou not heard what hath been said aforetime? Muhammad is our first, Muhammad our last, Muhammad our all. And elsewhere they all proceed from the same light. In this station the truth of the unity of God and of the signs of his sanctity is established. Thou shalt indeed see them all rising above the bosom of God's might and embraced in the arms of his mercy. Nor can any distinction be made between his bosom and his arms. To speak of the change or transformation in this plane would be sheer blasphemy and utter impiety. For this is the station wherein the light of divine unity shineth forth, and the truth of his oneness is expressed, and the splendors of the everlasting morn are reflected in lofty and faithful mirrors. By God, were I to reveal the full measure of that which he hath ordained for this station, the souls of men would depart from their bodies. The inner realities of all things would be shaken in their foundations. They that dwell within the realms of creation would be dumbfounded, and those who move in the lands of illusion would fade into utter nothingness. Hast thou not heard? No change is there in God's creation. Hast thou not read? No change canst thou find in God's mode of dealing. Hast thou not borne witness to the truth? No difference wilt thou see in the creation of the God of mercy. Yea, by my Lord, they that dwell within this ocean, they that ride upon his ark, witness no change in the creation of God, and behold no differences upon his path. And if God's creation be not prone to change and alteration, how then could they who are the manifestations of his own being be subject to it? Immeasurably exalted is God above all that we may conceive of the revealers of his cause, and immensely glorified is he beyond all that they may mention in his regard. Great God, the sea hath laid up lustrous pearls in store. The wind hath raised a wave that casteth them ashore. So put away thy robe, and drown thyself therein, and cease to boast of skill, it serveth thee no more. If thou be of the inmates of this city, within the ocean of divine unity, thou wilt view all the prophets and messengers of God as one soul and one body, as one light and one spirit, in such wise that the first among them be last, and the last would be first. For they have all arisen to proclaim his cause, and have established the laws of divine wisdom. They are, one and all, the manifestations of his self, the repositories of his might, the treasuries of his revelation, the dawning places of his splendor, and the daysprings of his light. Through them are manifested the signs of sanctity and the realities of all things, and the tokens of oneness and the essences of all beings. Through them are revealed the elements of glorification and the heavenly realities, and the exponents of praise and the eternal essences. From them hath all creation proceeded, and unto them shall return all that hath been mentioned. And since in their inmost beings they are the same luminaries and the selfsame mysteries, thou shouldst view their outward conditions in the same light, that thou mayest recognize them all as one being, nay, find them united in their words, speech, and utterance. Wert thou to consider in this station the last of them to be the first, or conversely, thou wouldst indeed be speaking the truth, as hath been ordained by him who is the wellspring of divinity and the source of lordship. Say, call upon God, or call upon the All-Merciful, by whichsoever name ye will invoke him, for he hath the most excellent names. For they are all the manifestations of the name of God, the dawning places of his attributes, the repositories of his might, and the focal points of his sovereignty, whilst God, magnified be his might and glory, is in his essence sanctified above all names and exalted beyond even the loftiest attributes. Consider likewise the evidences of divine omnipotence, both in their souls and in their human temples, that thine heart may be assured, and that thou mayest be of them that speed through the realms of his nearness. I shall restate here my theme, that perchance this may assist thee in recognizing thy Creator. Know thou that God, exalted and glorified be he, doth in no wise manifest his inmost essence in reality. From time immemorial he hath been veiled in the eternity of his essence, and concealed in the infinitude of his own being. And when he purposed to manifest his beauty in the kingdom of names, and to reveal his glory in the realm of attributes, he brought forth his prophets from the invisible plane to the visible, that his name the manifest might be distinguished from the hidden, and his name the last might be discerned from the first, and that there may be fulfilled the words, he is the first and the last, the seen and the hidden, and he knoweth all things. Thus hath been revealed these most excellent names and most excellent words in the manifestations of his self and the mirrors of his being. It is therefore established that all names and attributes return unto these sublime and sanctified luminaries. Indeed, all names are to be found in their names, and all attributes can be seen in their attributes. Viewed in this light, if thou wert to call them by all the names of God, this would be true, as all these names are one and the same as their own being. Comprehend then the intent of these words, and guard it within the tabernacle of thy heart, that thou mayest recognize the implications of thine inquiry, fulfill them according to that which God hath ordained for thee, and thus be numbered with those who have attained unto his purpose. All that thou hast heard regarding Muhammad, the son of Hassan, may the souls of all that are immersed in the oceans of the Spirit be offered up for his sake, is true beyond the shadow of a doubt, and we will verily bear allegiance unto him. All that thou hast heard regarding Muhammad, son of Hassan, may the souls of all that are immersed in the oceans of the Spirit be offered up for his sake, is true beyond the shadow of a doubt, and we all verily bear allegiance unto him. But the Imams of the faith have fixed his abode in the city of Jabalka, which they have depicted in strange and marvelous signs. To interpret this city according to the literal meaning of the tradition would indeed prove impossible, nor can such a city ever be found. Wert thou to search the uttermost corners of the earth, nay, probe its length and breadth, for as long as God's eternity hath lasted, and his sovereignty will endure, thou wouldst never find a city such as they have described, for the entirety of the earth could never contain nor encompass it. If thou wouldst lead me unto this city, I could assuredly lead thee unto this holy being, whom the people have conceived according to what they possess, and not to that which pertaineth unto him. Since this is not in thy power, thou hast no recourse but to interpret symbolically the accounts and traditions that have been reported from these luminous souls. And as such an interpretation is needed for the traditions pertaining to the aforementioned city, so too is it required for this holy being. When thou hast understood this interpretation, thou shalt no longer stand in need of transformation or aught else. Know then that inasmuch as all the prophets are but one and the same soul, spirit, name, and attribute, thou must likewise see them all as bearing the name Muhammad, and as being the son of Hassan, as having appeared from the Jabuka of God's power, and from the Jabusa of his mercy. For the Jabuka is meant none other than the treasure houses of eternity in the all-highest heaven, and the cities of the unseen in the supernal realm. We bear witness that Muhammad, the son of Hassan, was indeed in Jabuka, and appeared therefrom. Likewise, he whom God shall make manifest abideth in that city until such time as God will have established him upon the seat of his sovereignty. We verily acknowledge this truth and bear allegiance unto each and every one of them. We have chosen here to be brief in our elucidation of the meanings of Jabuka. But if thou be of them that truly believe, thou shalt indeed comprehend all the true meanings of the mysteries enshrined within these tablets. But as to him who appeared in the year 60, he standeth in need of neither transformation nor interpretation, for his name was Muhammad, and he was a descendant of the Imams of the Faith. Thus it can be truly said of him that he was the son of Hassan, as is undoubtedly clear and evident unto thine eminence. Nay, he it is who fashioned that name and created it for himself, were ye to observe with the eye of God. It is our wish at this juncture to digress from our theme, to recount that which befell the point of the Quran, and extol his remembrance, that perchance thou mayest gain into all things an insight born of him who is the Almighty, the Incomparable. Consider and reflect upon his days when God raised him up to promote his cause and to stand as the representative of his own self. Witness how he was assailed, denied, and denounced by all. How, when he set foot in the streets and marketplaces, the people derided him, wagged their heads at him, and laughed him to scorn. How at every moment they sought to slay him. Such were their doings that the earth in all its vastness was straitened for him. The concourse on high bewailed his plight, the foundations of existence were reduced to nothingness, and the eyes of the well-favored denizens of his kingdom wept sore over him. Indeed, so grievous were the afflictions which the infidels and the wicked showered upon him, that no faithful soul can bear to hear them. If these wayward souls had indeed paused to reflect upon their conduct, recognized the sweet melodies of that mystic dove singing upon the twigs of this snow-white tree, embraced that which God had revealed unto and bestowed upon them, and discovered the fruits of the tree of God upon its branches, wherefore then did they reject and denounce him? Had they not lifted their heads to the heavens to implore his appearance? Had they not besought God at every moment to honor them with his beauty and sustain them through his presence? But as they failed to recognize the accents of God and the divine mysteries and holy illusions enshrined in that which flowed from the tongue of Muhammad, and as they neglected to examine the matter in their own hearts, and followed instead those priests of error who had hindered the progress of the people in past dispensations, and who will continue to do so in future cycles, they were thus veiled from the divine purpose, failed to quaff from the celestial stream, and deprived themselves of the presence of God, the manifestation of his essence, and the dayspring of his eternity. Thus did they wander in the paths of delusion and the ways of heedlessness, and return to their abode in that fire which feedeth on their own souls. These verily are numbered with the infidels, whose names have been inscribed by the pen of God in his holy book, nor have they ever found or will ever find a friend or helper. Had these souls but clung steadfastly to the handle of God manifested in the person of Muhammad, had they turned wholly unto God and cast aside all that they had learned from their divines, he would assuredly have guided them through his grace and acquainted them with the sacred truths that are enshrined within his imperishable utterances. For far be it from his greatness and his glory that he should turn away a seeker at his door, cast aside from his threshold one who hath set his hopes on him, reject one who has sought the shelter of his shade, deprive one who hath held fast to the hem of his mercy, or condemn to remoteness the poor one who hath found the river of his riches. But as these people failed to turn wholly unto God, and to hold fast to the hem of his all-pervading mercy at the appearance of the day star of truth, they passed out from under the shadow of guidance and entered the city of error. Thus did they become corrupt and corrupt the people. Thus did they err and lead the people into error, and thus were they recorded among the oppressors in the books of heaven. Now that this evanescent one hath reached this exalted point in the exposition of the inner mysteries, the reason for the denial of these uncouth souls will be described briefly, that it may serve as a testimony unto them that are endued with understanding and insight, and be a token of my favor unto the concourse of the faithful. Know then that when Muhammad, the point of the Quran, and the light of the All-Glorious came with perspicuous verses and luminous proofs manifested in such signs as are beyond the power of all existence to produce, he bade all men follow this lofty and outstretched path in accordance with the precepts that he had brought from God. Whoso acknowledged him recognized the signs of God in his inmost being, and saw in his beauty the changeless beauty of God. The decree of resurrection, ingathering, life, and paradise was passed upon him. For he who had believed in God and in the manifestation of his beauty was raised from the grave of heedlessness, gathered together in the sacred ground of the heart, quickened to the life of faith and certitude, and admitted into the paradise of the divine presence. What paradise can be loftier than this? What ingathering mightier, and what resurrection greater? Indeed, should a soul be acquainted with these mysteries, he would grasp that which none other hath fathomed. Know then that the paradise that appeareth in the day of God surpasseth every other paradise, and excelleth the realities of heaven. For when God, blessed and glorified is he, sealed the station of prophethood in the person of him who was his friend, his chosen one, and his treasured amongst his creatures, as hath been revealed from the kingdom of glory, but he is the apostle of God and the seal of the prophets. He promised all men that they shall attain unto his own presence in the day of resurrection. In this he meant to emphasize the greatness of the revelation to come, as it hath indeed been manifested through the power of truth. And there is of a certainty no paradise greater than this, nor station higher, should ye reflect upon the verses of the Quran. Blessed be he who knoweth of a certainty that he shall attain unto the presence of God on that day when his beauty shall be made manifest. Were I to recount all the verses that have been revealed in connection with this exalted theme, it would weary the reader and divert us from our purpose. The following verse shall therefore suffice us. May thine eyes be solaced therewith, and mayest thou attain unto that which hath been treasured and concealed therein. It is God who hath reared the heavens without pillars, thou canst behold, then mounted his throne, and imposed laws on the sun and the moon. Each travelleth to its appointed goal. He ordereth all things. He maketh his signs clear, that ye may have firm faith in the presence of your Lord. Ponder then, O my friend, the words firm faith that have been mentioned in this verse. It saith that the heavens and the earth, the throne, the sun, and the moon, all have been created to the end that his servants may have unswerving faith in his presence in his days. By the righteousness of God, contemplate, O my brother, the greatness of this station, and behold the condition of the people in these days, fleeing from the countenance of God in his beauty, as though they were affrighted asses. Wert thou to reflect upon that which we have revealed unto thee, thou wouldst undoubtedly grasp our purpose in this utterance, and discover that which we have desired to impart unto thee within this paradise. Perchance thine eyes may rejoice in beholding it, thine ears take delight in hearing that which is recited therein, thy soul be enthralled by recognizing it, thy heart illumined by comprehending it, and thy spirit gladdened by the fragrant breezes that waft therefrom. Haply thou mayest attain unto the pinnacle of divine grace, and abide within the Rizwan of transcendent holiness. He, however, who denied God and his truth, who turned his back upon him and rebelled, who disbelieved and made mischief, the verdict of impiety, blasphemy, death, and fire was passed upon him. For what blasphemy is greater than to turn unto the manifestations of Satan, to follow the doctors of oblivion and the people of rebellion? What impiety is more grievous than to deny the Lord on the day when faith itself is renewed and regenerated by God, the Almighty, Beneficent? What death is more wretched than to flee from the source of everlasting life? What fire is fiercer on the day of reckoning than that of remoteness from the divine beauty and the celestial glory? These were the very words and utterances used by the pagan Arabs living in the days of Muhammad to dispute with and pronounce judgment against him. They said, "Those who believed in Muhammad dwelt in our midst and associated with us day and night. When did they die, and when were they raised to life? Hearken unto that which was revealed in reply. If ever thou dost marvel, marvelous surely is their saying. What, when we have become dust and moldering bones, shall we be restored in a new creation?" And in another passage, "And if thou shouldst say, after death ye shall surely be raised again, the infidels will certainly exclaim, this is naught but palpable sorcery." Thus did they mock and deride him, for they had read in their books and heard from their divines the terms life and death, and understood them as this elemental life and physical death. And hence, when they found not that which their vain imaginings and their false and wicked minds had conceived, they hoisted the banners of discord and the standards of sedition, and kindled the flame of war. God, however, quenched it through the power of his might, as thou seest again in this day with these infidels and evildoers. At this hour, when the sweet savors of attraction have wafted over me from the everlasting city, when the transports of yearning have seized me from the land of splendors, at the dawning of the day star of the worlds above the horizon of Iraq, and the sweet melodies of Hijaz have brought to mine ears the mysteries of separation, I have purposed to relate unto thine eminence a portion of that which the mystic dove hath warbled in the midmost heart of paradise, as to the true meaning of life and death, though the task be impossible. For, were I to interpret these words for thee as it hath been inscribed in the garden tablets, all the books and pages of the world could not contain it, nor could the souls of men bear its weight. I shall none the less mention that which beseemeth this day and age, that it might serve as a guidance unto whosoever desireth to gain admittance into the retreats of glory in the realms above, to hearken unto the melodies of the Spirit intoned by this divine and mystic bird, and to be numbered with those who have severed themselves from all save God, and who in this day rejoice in the presence of their Lord. Know then that life hath a twofold meaning. The first pertaineth to the appearance of man in an elemental body, and is as manifest to thine eminence, and to the others as the midday sun. This life cometh to an end with physical death, which is a God-ordained and inescapable reality. That life, however, which is mentioned in the books of the prophets and the chosen ones of God, is the life of knowledge. That is to say, the servant's recognition of the sign of the splendors wherewith he who is the source of all splendor hath himself invested him, and his certitude of attaining unto the presence of God through the manifestations of his cause. This is that blessed and everlasting life that perisheth not. Whosoever is quickened thereby shall never die, but will endure as long as his Lord and Creator will endure. The first life, which pertaineth to the elemental body, will come to an end, as has been revealed by God. Every soul shall taste of death. But the second life, which ariseth from the knowledge of God, knoweth no death, as hath been revealed aforetime. Him will we surely quicken to a blessed life. And in another passage concerning the martyrs, nay, they are alive and sustained by their Lord. And from the traditions, he who is a true believer liveth both in this world and in the world to come. Numerous examples of similar words are to be found in the books of God and of the embodiments of his justice. For the sake of brevity, however, we have contented ourselves with the above passages. O my brother, forsake thine own desires, turn thy face unto thy Lord, and walk not in the footsteps of those who have taken their corrupt inclinations for their God, that perchance thou mayest find shelter in the heart of existence, beneath the redeeming shadow of him who traineth all names and attributes. For they who turn away from their Lord in this day are in truth accounted amongst the dead, though to outward seeming they may walk upon the earth, amongst the deaf, though they may hear, and amongst the blind, though they may see, as hath been clearly stated by him who is the Lord of the day of reckoning. Hearts have they with which they understand not, and eyes have they which they see not. They walk the edge of a treacherous bank, and tread the brink of a fiery abyss. They partake not of the billows of this surging and treasure-laden ocean, but disport themselves with their own idle words. In this connection we will relate unto thee that which was revealed of old concerning life, that perchance it may turn thee away from the promptings of self, deliver thee from the narrow confines of thy prison in this gloomy plain, and aid thee to become of them that are guided aright in the darkness of this world. He saith, and he verily speaketh the truth, shall the dead whom we have quickened, and for whom we have ordained a light, whereby he may walk amongst men, be like him whose likeness is in the darkness, whence he will not come forth? This verse was revealed with respect to Hamzah and Audiobook, the former of whom was a believer, whilst the latter disbelieved. Most of the pagan leaders mocked and derided it, were agitated and clamored, how did Hamzah die? And how was he restored to his former life? Were ye to examine carefully the verses of God, you would find many such statements recorded in the book. Wouldst that pure and stainless hearts could be found, that I might impart unto them a sprinkling from the oceans of knowledge, which my Lord hath bestowed upon me, so that they may soar in the heavens, even as they walk upon the earth, and speed over the waters, even as they course the land, and that they may take up their souls in their hands, and lay them down in the path of their Creator. Howbeit, leave hath not been granted to divulge this mighty secret. Indeed, it hath been from everlasting a mystery, enshrined within the treasuries of his power, and a secret concealed within the repositories of his might, lest his faithful servants forsake their own lives in the hope of obtaining this most great station in the realms of eternity. Nor shall they who wander in this oppressive darkness ever attain unto it. O my brother, at every juncture we have restated our theme, that all that have been recorded in the verses may, by the leave of God, be made clear unto thee, and that thou mayest become independent of those who are plunged in the darkness of self, and who tread the valley of arrogance and pride, and be of them that move within the paradise of everlasting life.